Hey everyone, welcome back. So happy you're here with us today.
Yes, welcome back to Speak First English, where we speak first and think second. I'm Jake.
And I'm Anna. Jake, something funny happened to me this week. Can I tell you?
Please, funny stories are my favorite warm-up.
So I was at a new restaurant and the waiter asked me what I thought about the food in English. And I wanted to say the food was niezhny, soft and delicate and gentle on the tongue.
Oh yes, that very specific word for food that just melts.
Exactly. And I could not remember the English word. It was completely gone, just blank. And the waiter was standing there waiting, smiling.
The classic freeze moment.
Classic freeze. And I had two choices, stay silent and look confused or say something.
And what did you choose?
I said, the food is, how do I say this? It's so soft, like it just disappears in your mouth. Very gentle, very light.
That's actually beautiful. That's better than the word.
And the waiter said, oh, you mean delicate? And I said, yes, delicate, exactly. And we both smiled.
So you didn't know the word and the conversation was better for it.
Because I described around it, and that's exactly what today's episode is about.
Today's topic is one of the most practical things we've ever covered on this podcast, something every English learner needs not someday, but right now in their next conversation.
Today we talk about what to say when you don't know the word.
Because this is the moment that stops so many learners. You're in a conversation, everything is going well, and then you need one specific word and it's not there. Your mind goes blank and you freeze.
And the freeze is the real problem, not the missing word, because native speakers forget words too, all the time. The difference is they have tools to keep going.
And today, we're going to give you those tools. Real phrases, real strategies, real English you can use in your very next conversation.
Before we start, if this episode helps you today, please share it. Send it to the friend who says, my English is good, but I can't speak. Because usually, their English is fine. They just don't have the tools to keep going when they get stuck.
Let's fix that right now.
Jake, let's start with the real question. Why do we freeze when we can't find a word? What's actually happening in that moment?
Good question. Because logically, one missing word shouldn't stop a whole conversation. You know hundreds of words. Why does one missing word feel like a wall?
Exactly. And I think it's because we have a hidden rule in our head. The rule says, if you don't know the exact word, you cannot continue.
Like you need a specific key to open a specific door. No key, no entry, full stop.
But real conversation doesn't work that way. Real conversation is more like finding your way through a city when one road is blocked.
Oh, I like that.
If one road is blocked, you don't stop the car and sit there forever. You look for another route, a different street, a detour. You still reach the same destination.
The destination is communication, understanding, connection, and there are always multiple roads to that destination.
The missing word is just one blocked road, and today we're giving you the detour map. 5 different routes to keep going when the main road is closed.
5 routes. Let's go through them. Before the tips, can I share a story? Something embarrassing that actually taught me one of the most useful things I know in English?
Yes, always. Stories make everything stick.
So, a few years ago, I was at a pharmacy. I needed something for a headache. Simple situation. But I blanked on the word for the specific type of headache I had. The kind where your head pounds with every heartbeat.
A throbbing headache.
Yes, throbbing, but I didn't know that word then, and the pharmacist was looking at me, and I felt my face go red, and I thought, should I just leave? Just walk out?
No, what did you do?
I said, I have a headache, but not the normal kind. It feels like boom, 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 like my heartbeat is inside my head, and it's very strong, painful, like a drum.
Like a drum inside your head. That's incredible.
And the pharmacist said, ah, a throbbing headache. Yes, I have something for that. And I got what I needed. The conversation worked, and I learned a new word.
Because you described around the word instead of stopping at the wall.
And the thing is, the pharmacist understood me perfectly, maybe even better than if I'd used the wrong word and guessed incorrectly.
Because a good description is often clearer than an approximate word.
Exactly. So from that day, I stopped treating missing words as walls and started treating them as invitations to describe.
I love that. A missing word is not a wall. It's an invitation to describe. Okay, our first tip, and this is the most powerful one, the foundation of everything else. Tip 1. Use the describe around technique.
Describe around. Exactly what Anna did with the food. Exactly what I did at the pharmacy.
When you don't know the exact word, describe what the thing does, what it looks like, how it feels, or what it's used for. Use simpler, more basic words to paint the picture of the missing word.
And here's the magic. When you describe something instead of naming it, the listener often gives you the word, like a gift.
You mean delicate. Ah, a throbbing headache. The listener fills the gap, and you learn the word in a natural and memorable way.
So how do we do this in practice? Let's look at some examples.
If you can't remember the word umbrella, you say, the thing you hold over your head when it rains. It opens like a circle.
If you can't remember ladder, you say, the thing you climb up when you need to reach something high. It has steps, but it's not a staircase.
If you can't remember deadline, you say, the last day you must finish something. After that day, it's too late.
Simple words, clear picture. The listener understands and often gives you the word.
And even if they don't give you the word, it doesn't matter because the communication happened, the meaning was delivered, the conversation continued.
That is the whole goal, not the perfect word, the continued conversation.
The describe around technique, your most powerful detour.
Tip number 3, and this one is about being brave enough to be imprecise. Tip 3, use the approximate word.
The approximate word. What does that mean?
Sometimes you don't know the exact word, but you know a related word, a similar word, a word that's close but not perfect. And many people are afraid to use it because what if it's not exactly right?
But close enough is almost always good enough in conversation.
Exactly. If you don't know the word anxious, say nervous. If you don't know exhausted, say very, very tired. If you don't know furious, say very angry.
The meaning gets through, the emotion is communicated, the conversation continues.
And you can soften the approximate word with a small phrase, something like, kind of, a bit like. Maybe the word is something like,
These small phrases tell the listener, I'm not sure this is exactly right, but this is the direction.
for example, I was feeling, how do I say this? Something like nervous, but stronger than nervous, more like a deep worry.
The listener understands, and they might say, you mean anxious, and you have a new word.
Think of it like pointing at something instead of saying its name. You point, the other person looks, they understand what you're pointing at, and they might tell you the name.
The approximate word is your pointing finger. Not perfect, but effective.
And remember, using an approximate word and keeping the conversation going is always better than saying nothing and letting the silence kill the moment.
Tip number 4, and this one is a little more advanced but very natural. Tip 4, use the redirect.
The redirect. Tell us.
Sometimes, when you can't find a word, the most elegant solution is to change the direction of what you're saying slightly. Not completely change the topic, just approach it from a different angle where you do know the words.
Give us an example.
Okay, imagine you're trying to say, the movie had a very melancholic atmosphere, but you can't remember melancholic or atmosphere.
Both hard words, both could disappear.
Right, so instead of freezing on melancholic atmosphere, you redirect. You say, the movie made me feel a little sad. Not crying sad, more like quiet sad, the kind that stays with you after.
That's actually a richer description than melancholic atmosphere.
And it used only simple words. Made me feel, quiet sad, stays with you. Words you definitely know.
So the redirect is when one route is blocked, don't push against the wall, turn. Find the part of the idea you can express and express that part beautifully.
Another example, you want to say she's very stubborn, but you can't remember the word. Redirect. When she makes a decision, she never changes it, no matter what you say to her. She just keeps going.
She never changes her decision no matter what. That's stubborn, perfectly communicated without the word.
The redirect feels very natural because people think in ideas, not in individual words. When you redirect, you're just finding the idea from a different word direction.
And the listener follows you because the idea is clear even when the exact word is missing. And our final tip, Tip 5, and this one requires the most courage but has the best results. Tip 5, ask for help.
Ask for help. You mean just ask the other person?
Yes, directly, honestly, simply.
But doesn't that feel embarrassing?
It feels like it would be, but it almost never is. Think about how you feel when someone asks you for help. Does it annoy you, or does it feel nice, like you're useful?
It feels nice, like someone trusts you.
Exactly. Asking for help gives the other person a gift, the feeling of being useful. And for you, you get the exact word you need in the exact context where you need it.
So what does this sound like in practice?
What's the word in English for, and then describe it? What's the word in English for when you feel happy about someone else's bad luck?
And the person might say, Schadenfreude, or satisfaction?
Yes, and now you have a word, in context. You'll remember it because you needed it in a real moment.
Another phrase, how do you say, in English? Is there a word for, what would you call someone who...
These phrases don't make you look weak. They make you look curious, engaged, smart enough to ask.
And here's something important. People love being asked about language. It's a compliment. It says, I trust you to know this. I want to learn from you.
I have a friend who speaks 6 languages, and she asks, how do you say this in every one of them all the time? Not because she doesn't know enough words, but because asking is how she keeps learning.
And she's brilliant at all 6 languages because of it.
Asking is not a sign of weakness. It's a strategy of the best learners.
Ask for help, get the word, use it immediately, remember it forever. Anna, we've been using some really useful conversational words today. Let's look at them together. These are the kinds of words that help you in real daily conversations.
Yes, our word tour. These words will help you describe, explain, and navigate tricky moments in English.
First word, describe.
To describe means to explain what something is like using words, its appearance, feeling, function. Like, when I don't know a word, I describe what it does. Or, can you describe what you mean? I want to understand better.
Next, approximate.
Approximate means close to the correct answer, but not exactly right. I used an approximate word, not perfect, but close enough. Or, what's the approximate meaning of this word in your language?
Then, clarify.
To clarify means to make something clearer, easier to understand. Let me clarify what I mean. Or, can you clarify? I didn't quite understand that part.
We also talked about rephrase.
To rephrase means to say the same thing in a different way. Different words, same meaning. Let me rephrase that. I don't think I explained it well. Or, could you rephrase your question? I want to make sure I answer correctly.
And specific.
Specific means exact, precise, clear about details. I don't know the specific word, but I know what it means. Or, can you be more specific about what you need?
And one last very useful word, native.
Native speaker means someone who learned a language as their first language from childhood. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. Or, I don't need to speak like a native, I need to communicate clearly.
Your Speaking Gym challenge today. Use at least one of today's tips in your very next English conversation. Any conversation, even a short one. And then write in the comments, which tip did you use and what happened?
Okay, before we finish, let's make this very practical. Here are 4 things you can do today.
Step 1. Practice the describe around technique right now. Think of 3 objects near you and try to describe each one using only simple English words without saying the object's name. Do it out loud, even alone. This is Speaking Gym.
Step 2. Memorize 2 by time phrases. Just 2. Write them on paper or in your phone. How do I say this? And you know that feeling when? Practice saying them out loud until they feel automatic.
Step 3. In your next English conversation, when you feel a freeze coming, don't stop. Use one of today's strategies. Any of them. Describe around, approximate, redirect, ask for help. Just keep going.
And step 4. After the conversation, notice what happened. Did the other person understand? Did the conversation continue? Did you learn a new word? Almost always, the answer to all 3 is yes.
Let's recap our 5 tips quickly.
Tip 1. The describe around technique. When you can't say the word, describe what it does, looks like, or feels like. The listener understands and often gives you the word.
Tip 2. By time phrases. How do I say this? Let me think. You know that feeling when keep the engine running while your brain finds the route.
Tip 3. The approximate word. Close enough is almost always good enough.
use the similar word, add something like, and keep going.
Tip 4. The redirect. Approach the idea from a different angle. Find the part you can say and say that part beautifully.
Tip 5. Ask for help. Directly, honestly, simply. What's the word in English for? It's not weakness, it's the strategy of every great language learner.
And now, our question for today. A fun one.
Tell us about a word you don't know in English, something in your language that you love and you're not sure how to say in English.
Describe it for us in the comments. Use the describe around technique right now in the comment section.
We will read every single one and we will try to give you the English word, or we'll discover together that there isn't one.
Because sometimes some words are so beautiful in one language, they simply don't exist in another. And that's a story worth telling too.
If this episode helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with your English learning friend, the one who freezes, the one who gives up mid-sentence, the one who knows more English than they think.
Tell them you don't need to know every word. You just need to know how to keep going.
Because keeping going is fluency, not perfect words, not perfect grammar, the ability to keep the conversation alive no matter what.
You can do that. You already have everything you need.
This was Speak First English.
Until next time, speak first, think second. And when you don't know the word, describe around it. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.